Hello and welcome along to the Bunch of Punts betting podcast, your specialist show for football long shot bets. Today it's outright Prem, EFL, Prem I think definitely EFL, ready for the new season. Matthew O'Regan alongside me as ever, as well as special guest Tom Love. Tom, thanks for coming on. I haven't said it to you yet, but thank you, really appreciate it.
No problem.
And are you excited for the new season?
Yeah, I'm buzzing, to be fair. As a Bradford fan, I think we've had a good summer, and it's kind of very rare that we come into the start of the season like with all our kind of ducks in a row. So yeah, it's good vibes, and it's always good to have the first game at home. Hopefully it's belting weather on Saturday, a few beers, and a 4-0 win against Peterborough.
Yeah, I do fancy you to hose up on Saturday. I'll kick things off with something from the Prem quickly. Shock we didn't discuss this before. I've just put mine in, and I'll mention them now. But we might have a look at Prem again next week because it doesn't start this weekend. But 9 managers gone, 9 teams in Europe. It feels like very much a season of change, barring Arsenal. Could be a very wide open division, but you look at how teams last season, there were 9 in Europe, how they drop off in terms of league position, factor in the fact that like Bournemouth, Palace in Europe as well, they've both got new managers and they're competing in Europe. I think there's going to be a lot of shuffling about in terms of the more established teams. So I've just had a quick look at who do I fancy who hasn't got a new manager, who's not in Europe to kick on from last season, and I can't look past Leeds. 47 points, I think. Farke completely evolved his style of play, promoted 3 times as a title winner, twice with Norwich, once with Leeds, playing expansive football. Tried to do that in the Prem with Norwich, failed. Had to change last season at Leeds, and he did. They signed big in the transfer market, literally went a bit more direct, became very hard to beat. They drew 14 games. Issue was they conceded 56 goals, I think, 4th most in the division, underperformed their XG, but they've addressed both them issues. They got that, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, that fella in from Juventus who had a scrap with Balogun in the World Cup, Trafford in goal, and Harry Wilson, who's going to operate like just off Calvert-Lewin, I think, and Wilson's overperformed his XG last 4 seasons, so you'd like to think he'd help Leeds out with their underperformance. I don't know much about that Juventus defender, but I'm guessing he'll be half good for 30 million. But Trafford is the main one for me. He's worth a few goals, if definitely at least 5-6 points with how good of a keeper he is. I think he prevented 2.5 goals last season, nearly 13 in the Championship with Burnley. Compare that to Cardallo, who was in the sticks for the majority of the Leeds campaign last season, and he added on a goal and a half, so that's a 4-goal swing at least that you're starting off with, but put him in what I think is going to be a better defence from Leeds' point of view. I think they're just primed to kick on, and back to those 14 draws, only Bournemouth drew more. You're looking at 47 points with a better keeper, an upgrade in defence, a bit of an upgrade in attack. I don't think it's that much of a gap to bridge when you consider that nearly half the teams in Europe, the 3 of the teams coming up are pretty much looking like non-hopers, non-starters this campaign. So the bets, I've gone Leeds top 6, Paddy's have got 10-1, 4 points on that. I know it sounds a lot, but it's what I've had on it, I'm going to be honest, and it's a season-long bet. And I've also done DCL top goal scorer each way, point each way. 50s is general. There's 66 floating about with Bet Victor, but I'll track it at the general price. 14 goals last season, takes pens, scored a few in pre-season against Liverpool. I think he got one against Man United the other night, but he's the main thing with him is they're keeping him fit, which is good. Another bet, I'm not taking credit for this. It's not even a market I'd ever consider looking at, but as soon as I saw Leeds handicap, I really wanted them, but by the time I got around to previewing the Prem, it had gone, which is probably a good sign. But I was listening to the Betting Club podcast with Nick Goff the other day, and he quite fancies Leeds, Brighton and Brentford to go well, which is a huge plus. But he said, have a look at the top at Christmas market, and Leeds are 200-1, 365 Pele in paying 3 places, quarter odds. Just going to have an ambitious, very ambitious point each way on that, just in case Leeds really do start the season well. They finished the last campaign well enough, so 3 bets all revolving Leeds, but we might have more in the Prem. next week. Into the Championship then. Newbies go first. Tom, kick us off with your handicap shout from this division.
Yeah, so I've got a handicap bet in each league. So in the Championship, I'm siding with the rather unfashionable and unfancied Charlton. This is mainly a stance for Nathan Jones, the manager, who I just rate as one of the best in the division with what he's got, particularly off the ball and defensively. His record with teams at the back is just outrageously good, and I actually think what they did last season in terms of staying up was the first step, and he's just gone on and talked about no, we're gonna evolve now. We're gonna be better, and they've beefed up the back line even more. Kumetio's come down from Dundee, who's a highly rated defender, and they've brought in another lad from abroad who has been getting some good reviews. So yeah, I just think they're going to be a team that are going to frustrate the life out of other teams, and away from home, set up for draws, and at home, I think they'll edge quite a lot of games. And I saw them kind of as fourth or fifth favourites, I think they were, for relegation. And I wasn't really having that. I quite fancied them to outperform and maybe finish mid-table, which, given, we're getting 25 to 1 with them on a 32 handicap start. So it's just a nice one to kind of cheer on a team who is unfancied, who other teams hate. I'm going to be a Charlton fan this season, and 32 points is a big old handicap. And I kind of look at the top of the table, and obviously West Ham are short, and they could hose up. But I don't really like backing the teams at the top on these kind of scratch handicap starts. So bit of fun just backing Charlton because of the manager, really, and I think that they're going to outperform their expectations. So yeah, you're getting 25 to 1. You usually get around 18 to 1 on these lines. But one firm, I can't remember who, is 25 to 1 with a plus 32 start. So yeah, that's one of my bets.
Good job you said that. I've got it at 18s. Yeah, Jones is somebody who, when it goes wrong, it goes very wrong, the type of character he is, but he feels like he's got a good thing going at Charlton, been there a few seasons, so wouldn't be a surprise to see them kick on. You got a handicap in this league as well, haven't you, Matthew?
Yeah, well, I've got 3 bets of this league, and 2 are sort of intertwined. I'll leave one of them till last because I know you're on the exact same. But yeah, for relegation, I've gone Preston at 4 to 1. I can't be having them. Speaking to a lot of Preston fans, they're very not very optimistic. The business has been slow. I look at the team. Captain's gone. The feeling around there is not ideal. Heckingbottom's sort of come out and said he's not happy with the squad. When you just look at you go around the team just picking holes, and there's so many holes to pick. There's so many gaps to fill in. I think they fell off a cliff in the second half of last season. I just think they won't be able to shake that off. So, yeah, and as Tom mentioned, Charlton should do better than anticipated. I don't think Cardiff will be that bad. Lincoln will be tricky customers. I'm just very I'm not keen on Preston. I would have had them a bit shorter. And then in the handicap, I've gone QPR at plus 28, so tiny bit less than Charlton. But yeah, they're just feeling around QPR is a lot better now. They're sort of stagnated in the champ. They've been there 15 years or something silly. But the director of football's done a brilliant job. He's managed to sort of sell players like Seller, Field, and yeah, a lot of dead wood, and improve the squad, but make a massive profit. They've signed Lamptey from Fiorentina, so obviously watching him quite a lot at Brighton. There's not a chance he'd be playing in the Championship if he wasn't injury prone. He'd be playing for a top 6 team if he wasn't injury prone. I suppose that is the risk you take with him because he's stayed fit for about 10 games a season. Same can be said about Dennis Serkin at left back. Signed him, so they've got 2 really exciting wing backs. They've signed Boy Kemper to back up as well, and they've got Ilias Chair now fit for the season. Poku and Dembele sort of in and out the side with injuries. They've added really well, and they've also got Conan Burrell up front, who sort of took a bit of acclimatising to Championship, but if them two play together, I can see QPR getting a lot of goals, and it would not surprise me if QPR sneak into the top 8. So yeah, I'm having them on the handicap and teasing me up to the next bet, which I'll leave with you.
Yeah, interesting point. Championship's top 8. Generally, the standard of the league last season, it dropped off a bit, to be honest. And we're going to wait and see what the impact of the expanded playoffs means. But at this moment in time, I get the feeling like it could make a already pretty congested league even more competitive, even more tighter, because you have to imagine that the knock-on effect's just going to make every game like more competitive. More teams are going to have a chance at the top 8 going into the last bit of the season, if you know what I mean, Matthew.
Yeah, I think, because the top 6 was sort of clear for a bit.
Yeah.
Top of my head. And so that a lot of the teams below would have just sort of thrown the towel in. But now, with all 3 relegated teams with fancy here, probably Borough, Southampton, Birmingham maybe, but I'm not sold on the manager. There's real scope for a team sort of to sneak in, and wouldn't surprise me if it's a QPR, maybe a Swansea, do it, because I just think I completely forgot QPR got Madsen, he's grown. They got Varane, Vale, Ronnie Edwards and Dunn as their back, like 2 centre backs. Goalkeeper last year was really poor, and they've signed Motherwell's number 1, and they've signed Pierce Charles on loan from Man City. He was shining light for Sheffield Wednesday. They're just stacked in every position, really. And yeah, pound for pound, I think one of the best squads in the Championship. So I think they're really, really being underrated.
Yeah, 100%. The handicap bet, Tom mentions Bet Victor. It's paying out a fifth of the odds for a place, but everywhere else is a quarter odds. But because they're so much bigger, it actually works out better at place money anyway. So but the Bet UTs, the goal scorer for QPR,
The greatest third, probably him and Josh Stokes sort of go down in Bunch of Punts folklore.
Bunch of Punts royalty, Richard Coney, a man you know all about, Matthew. You were the one who touted him top goal scorer when he joined Wickham. He plucked from obscurity, wasn't he? Was he playing in the Homeless World Cup? Definitely knocking about in non-league.
He played for like Atletico Newham or something. Like he was 150 to 1 top scorer, and we had that. And I'm pretty sure he placed. I can't remember, but
he placed. Yeah. This is what I was going to say. He had 16 goals at the end of January, and then he only scored 2 goals in the remainder of the season, and he missed a large chunk of the running. Now, make of that what you will, but I know he was touted for a move that January, and it never materialised. But then he went to QPR in the summer last season, sort of bedded in, got used to the jump up in class. 10 goals is not a bad first season in the Championship, considering he was knocking about deep in non-league 2 seasons prior, so he's got used to the level. 66 to 1. You're looking at place money. I think 14 goals would have been enough last 2 seasons. Long gone are the days where you like Mitrovic, Ivan Toney, like Watkins, Adam Armstrong are all getting 30s, upper 20s. It's a lot lower bar goal scorer in the top goal scorer in the Championship recently. So realistically, he only needs to improve on last season to the tune of about 5-6 goals to have a shot at place money. So at 66 to 1 general price, I'm having a point each way. What are you having again?
I can't even remember what I said, point each way, I think. But I also think because there's obviously Jimenez, Armstrong, Bowen and Castellanos will take a lot of the betting, but obviously both play for the same team, sharing. I know Kone's got that with Birrell, but Castellanos, Bowen would be sharing. There's no guarantee Castellanos is there next season. Yeah, I just think the way QPR set up with, if you've got Chair, Pocky, Dembele, Harvey Vale, Soplania, you should be right in the goal scoring.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's the same thing at Wolves with Armstrong and Jimenez, 2 aging strikers. It looks like Armstrong's going to start the season as their front man. No doubt Jimenez, once he's recovered from the World Cup, will start to share the minutes around, and then that's the pretty much like the top of the market. You got Will Lancashire, he's clipped into 10s. He looks really good at Oxford last season, but I'm not sure I'd be going for him at this price. Then you got like Smodics, what are you doing there at 16s? Zanford Potnik, who's had some Prem clubs sniffing around, to large, halved in price from 32s to 16s, but he's got to adapt to the level. It's easy to pick off names at the front of the betting. And we was looking into it at the start of the season at Sporting Life, and last season I think the only like front runner in the pricing to place, he didn't even really end up going near the challenge in the end. Although he started like house on fire, was the one of the fellas at Coventry. I forget his name.
Had you right or
Yeah,
Sims?
had you right. That's the one. I think he was 16s, 18s at the start of the season. So it's definitely a market to look at the bigger prices and place money throughout the EFL. So into League One, Tom, you got another handicap pick here.
Yeah, this is a bit of a stronger one for me. Leyton Orient given a 25-point start here at 18-1. And obviously it was a poor season for them last season compared to the season before. Well, obviously they did so well and got into the playoffs, just missing out. I could just get the vibe last summer that Richie Wellens wasn't happy with everything going on in terms of transfers. Obviously, a shorter summer with them being in the playoffs and lost some key players, loanees who went and they didn't really replace them. He was kind of bemoaning their defence and not having a good keeper, not having a good left back, all these kind of things. And when he's kind of in that kind of mood, he's a bit like Nathan Jones, as you said, who can be swing either way. Like when he's on it, I really fancy his teams because I think he's one of the top 6 managers in the league for me. And I'm just looking at their business that they've done this summer and listening to a few interviews with Wellens, and he seems like he's really happy with things. Obviously, Don Ballard did leave. That was expected. And that might be factored into the price with him leaving, kind of them being around 7-1 for a top 6 finish. And given this kind of start on the handicap, but signed Jez Cabia, a player that I backed last season for Grimsby in the top scorer market. A few good words from Matthew on his efforts at Truro before that, so I had a look at him. Missed a lot of penalties at the start of the season. I was like, oh, if he scored a few more of them, you'd have got the full payout. I think he was around 100-1 opening price. He's a shorter price now in League One, but I really rate him. They signed Isaac Hayden, who's going to come in and probably be captain, I'd imagine. Oluwu, who was kind of like the best centre half in League One that everyone wanted when he went to Stockport, didn't really work out there, but he's top at this level. And they've signed some really like fun players in terms of Dobra, who I'm surprised has been in League Two for as long as he was at Chesterfield, but he can bring a bit of magic. So can Yusuf Akramish, who's on loan from Spurs. He went to Bristol Rovers last season, I think. I backed him a few times, really rate him. And they've also signed like Alfie Gilchrist, who's been playing Championship football. A really highly rated left back in Boniface, who's ex-Chelsea lad who's on loan from Ipswich too. They've still got El Mizuni, who I think's quality. So I think the vibes are good there. I think the squad's easily top half, in my opinion. And the managers, for me, is top 6. So I have to back them on a handicap when they're given a 25-goal start. I bet that was a fair bit shorter last season. And I rate them more this season than I do last season. So, yeah, all aboard the Orient train for me.
Yeah, last season, handicap 15. So...
Yeah, I really like Orient as well. I spoke to a few Orient fans as well, just getting fan sort of outlook before my magazine, and a load of them are very bullish on them. And I think they're very proactive, selling Ballard, and then they signed Cabio, and that's the young Southampton lad, within a day. They've also got my favourite man in the world, Aaron Connolly, who, when fit, I genuinely think best player in the league when fit. I went to Leyton Orient Donny last year. Leyton Orient won 4-0, I think. Connolly just tore them apart. He's too good for that level when fit. And Tom was saying like Hayden and Oluwu coming in. Oluwu, Stockport and Doncaster fans were saying just what a good lad he is. Like, he helps out in the community. And I think because Wellens was saying that the players wasted his time last year, didn't like them. He signed a lot of good characters like Hayden, Oluwu, and I think that will really reinvigorate the change room as well. So I think that's all it needed, just a few good characters. That the Tottenham fella that was on Bristol Rovers fans are saying what a nice guy he is. So I think Yeah, he's added really good players and improved the dressing room. So again, I really like the Leighton Orient shout as well.
Yeah, chalk and cheese Wellens from last summer to this summer. Spiky at the best of times, by the way. So yeah, great shout from. So that's like an underdog shout. They're in League One. What I'm trying to say is, let's go to the other end of the table. Relegation. You've got a couple of shouts, haven't you, Matthew?
Yeah, there's a few I like, but I'll put forward one in Burton to finish bottom at 6-1. Sort of, they've got, I think they got Scandi ownerships, and I think they have been quite lucky in terms of just about staying up. Bowyer kept them up last year. I think their first summer signed 23, something like ridiculous amount of players, and not many of them are worked out. And I just think I was watching an interview with Bowie literally like 5 minutes before we came on air. He was saying he's got no communication with the board. He has to go through the director of football and then the board are in Sweden. So there's no synergy at the club. There's no strategy. There's like, I think their bench, who do they play? They played Blackburn, I think, in a cup. They put in a good performance, but I read that they had one professional league appearance on the bench. Albeit he's a good player, they've got a 17-year-old in midfield. They lost Beasley to, what do you call it, Bradford. Tyrese Shade is linked with a move away. Charlie Webster, who's brilliant, is linked with a move away. Godwin Melifi is gone to, can't think who he's gone to, but he's gone somewhere. Barnsley, I think. Oh, I don't know. Top of my head. But yeah, they've just basically lost a load of good players. Can't replace them because financially, they just look crippled. And it wouldn't surprise me if Bowyer's gone within a few days. So yeah, I'm on them to finish bottom at 6-1. And another 66-1 top scorer in Bojan Radulovic. There was not much I liked in the League One top scorer market. It was one of the leagues, probably I looked down, I was like, not much stands out. But yeah, Radulovic, he's a bit injury prone, but sort of that's factored into the price at being 66-1. You're not going to get the starting striker for one of the best teams in the league being that high unless there was a caveat. But yeah, 8 in 19 starts last season. One of my good mates from uni is a big Helsinki fan who he played for, so got a lot of rave reviews there. He looked really good in our under 21s as well. So from me watching him, my mate watching him, and sort of speaking to a few people that have watched him for Huddersfield, he's a brilliant player. And obviously the risk is they've got Joe Taylor as well. He could take some minutes, but I think that will help him sort of manage his minutes, come off the bench last 15, 10, maybe nab a few goals. But yeah, 66-1, Radulovic top scorer, having a point each way on that as well.
Yeah, like that pig. I actually quite fancy Huddersfield to go well. They underperformed underlying data last season, had them as a top 6 team, but they've just been like victims of, I don't know, they've had, how many managers have they had? I think 13 since Carlos Corberan.
8 since 2022, I think, or something silly like that.
It's nuts. 3 last season, although it wasn't like entirely the ownership's fault with Manning having to leave for compassionate reasons, but they still sacked Lee Grant when they had him in 6th. Now, Drury's a bit of a rookie, but he's got Alan Nill from Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Board kicked him out there.
And fan favourite, isn't he? So Drury, like, he's loved there, so that could help. Like, they got the players, they just need someone. They've just signed Collins today as well from Peterborough, so they just need someone to sort of just bring because there's a bit of disconnect between the fans and the squad. So someone like Drury, he won't set the world alight with tactics and that, but I think he'd sort of bridge the gap between supporters and players, which is all they need.
Yeah. Just looking at that, Radulovic, his shot's 20-1 in places, so there's a massive discrepancy.
Yeah. Pretty
Yeah, I mean,
66.
I know they have a lot of strike. They've got Ashley Fletcher and Joe Taylor as well still, so it'd be interesting if he does start, then that's a massive price, yeah. I like.
You've got a couple of other big prices in the goal scorer market from this division, ain't you, Tom?
Do on the bigger side of it. So I've seen that this has been mentioned before, but the player of the year for me, probably, or the best player in the league, is going to be Casey Palmer at Luton. He's just way too good for the level. I don't really know why he's in League One. But he kind of like got a free roll to just do what he wants, really. And when you've got someone who's 100-1 still in places, I believe, who's finished the season on fire, comfortably being the best player on the pitch in every single game, for a team that are third favourites, I think, Luton, to win, is just too big a price. That I'd have him more kind of 33 to 1, 40 to 1 mark. So yeah, I like that. And just, I've seen a lot of people tipping Jake Beasley for Bradford, and really like what I've seen from him. But he's kind of been playing as a central striker with Will Swan on the right hand side, and then Poynton or another. It could be Adam Phillips, could be a number of players really on that side. Poynton, but I think that Swan, he's 100 to 1 with Ladbrokes, and he's a player who's probably for me the best finisher at the club. He suits the style perfectly, and I think that if he kind of nails down the places like the right-sided forward, he could get plenty of joy with Beasley doing a lot of the donkey work. We've seen that over pre-season, and Beasley causing all sorts of problems for centre halves, and Beasley kind of going out wide, Swan taking his place, and Swan scored a very Will Swan goal at the weekend against Norwich, kind of latching onto a back pass with our high pressing style. If he can start well and keep his place, 100 to 1 is way too big. And yeah, he is kind of like 40 to 1 in some places, but you can get 100 to 1 about him. So a tentative bet there, but he should start at the weekend, and hopefully he kind of keeps his place, because Alexander has said that he's going to start the players who are in form from pre-season, who are scoring. So, yeah, just want to watch there. And then kind of at the shorter end of the market, this is a really interesting heat, I think, at the top of the market, because Ballard's still priced up with Betfred, which I don't know why he's not in the league. Peppel at Plymouth is too short for me at kind of 8 to 1, and he probably will leave, if not now, then probably in January. So you kind of want to avoid these players who are going to have eyes on them in January as well. And I'm hoping that Adama Sidibe at Stockport can Stockport have the kind of backing to keep him if he does start well. Obviously, very well backed club financially, and he's a player. He's 25 to 1, so you can get him quarter of the odds 4 places each way with Ladbrokes. And I just like Stockport. I just back Stockport pretty much every single season for top 6 promotion. And I like to get with one of their players. A lot of people backing Kyle Wootton. I can completely see why with his record, but he's kind of made a name for himself becoming a centre half. So I wonder if he might get utilised there a little bit more this season. But Sidibe, they signed him from St Johnstone for a decent fee. He started a lot of the games last season. Rochdale last season scored plenty of goals under Jimmy McNulty, who's now the Stockport manager. And although I really rate Dave Challoner, I think that his race was run there a bit. I think that things went a little bit stale, and this freshness that McNulty can bring, I think could loosen them up. So I looked at Stockport 2 to 1 for the top 6. I mean, but what were they? I think they went off plenty shorter than that last season. But I'd probably have their rating about the same. And Sidibe should be helped for that half season that he had. He's just an absolute menace. He'll get plenty of cards as well. Might miss a few by suspension. But I'm willing to back him at 25 to 1, because I think he can be a real nightmare for defenders and really make a name for himself this season.
Yeah, completely agree with what you said about Challoner. Definitely went stagnant towards the back end of it. Last campaign, his tenure, his playoff record ultimately cost him a shot at the Championship, which he probably deserves, but definitely a time for a change at Stockport, and such a well-run club, they're not going to get the appointment wrong, so can't see them regressing too much. I've had a go on the handicap in this league as well. No prizes for guessing them on Bromley, biggest head start in the division, 33 points is their start, quarter odds, 4 places, so I've had a point each way at 18s. I think it still is with 365, and I just love Bromley, but I think it was justified last season with the title. Andy Woodman's had him on an upward trajectory since he joined in 21, I think it was, leaving his post as head goalkeeping coach at Arsenal. He does so many things that I like. The first we were talking about before we started recording, like using the catchment area where they are on the outskirts of London to his advantage, like constantly signs players who you think, what are they doing at Bromley? Like, I know Victor Adebayo's come from Mansfield, but didn't really hit the heights at Bolton, I believe he was at before, but he fits the mould at Bromley so well. Like JJ McKieran from Lincoln, they've made good use of the loan market. I think Ethan Archer from Luton, we all know what he's capable in terms of offensive output, but like Richard Taylor and Kamal Grant in defence just stops up an already like stacked backline, the set-piece monsters. For my money, they're probably going to be the fittest team in the division. Woodman's been raving about them in pre-season. He's chuffed with the fitness levels. There's a lot of squad churn, but he's happy with how it's all gone before the season kicks off in terms of gelling and looking like a quote, Bromley team. He hates playing football, possession-based, and the direct style made them really competitive in League 2, top half finish in their maiden EFL campaign, and then won the title last season. And because of this style of play, they rarely ever get battered. I think they only lost 8 games. This is off the top of my head, so it might give or take a few, but I think it was 8 games across their 2 seasons in League 2 by more than a 1-goal margin. Last season, they were the only Football League team to go unbeaten at home, and it's just the foundations for a side that they always punch above their weight. The bookies always undervalue them, in my opinion. They always upset the odds, and I think they've been undervalued again this season. Realistically, to get place money, you're going to need them to get 60 points, but 60 points, Blackpool got that last season. That was a 13th place finish. I could see them perhaps doing a little better than that. The set-piece monsters, 31 goals from dead balls last season. The only potential issue is the jumping level. They might have to find a way to score more goals from open play. Only got 25 last season, but I think they've done enough in the transfer market to potentially bridge that gap. And Michael Cheek, he scored at least 15 goals, I think, in his last 6 seasons. A lot of them were in the National League. There was, again, question marks if he could jump up to the level. But he seems to be a striker that if you create chances, it doesn't matter what league he's playing in. If you make chances for him, he'll take them. The only issue with him, of course, is he missed a chunk of the back 9 last season with an injury. But I just think this handicap, there's a lot to like about Bromley. I think they'll upset the odds again this season. Into League 2 then. Matthew, you got a relegation pick from this division.
Yeah, so I was listening to I like this pick before, but I was listening to the Top 20 pod, their season previews, and I can't remember the exact stats for it, but they were saying how League 1 teams struggle massively getting relegated from League 2. And I know they fancied Northampton for relegation, but I fancy Exeter for relegation. Matt Taylor was hired and didn't really inspire much confidence when he did. The fans, he's given it on a permanent role this summer. The fan reaction was all over the place. They've got Jaden Wareham is their prize asset, but I just think he's a player that his attitude, I just don't think if he stays, I don't think he's going to hit last season heights even in a weaker league. And if they sell him, it might be too late in a window to sort of reinvest some funds. They don't have much money. They're signing Harry Kite from Truro, got relegated with Truro. Like, they're signing like a load of ex-players that just haven't been any good. That not a single one they're signing really stands out, and it's a club on the decline. They don't have much money. They've sort of can't really sign anyone. So yeah, I just can't see Exeter surviving. So 11-2, and then top scorer, I've had another 66-1. So all 3 have been 66-1, and I've been waiting not all summer since they've signed him for them to price him, and they must have priced him today when I was checking. My Welsh isn't good, so I don't know how you pronounce it, but Owain Morgan for Grimsby. I think all of us are quite keen on Grimsby going well this season, and they're just a very clever team. When I spoke earlier about Leyton Orient being very proactive in the window, Grimsby are like that. They lost their assistant manager, had a new one the next day, lost Cabia, signed a player, Morgan, the next day, and I think Morgan's been a bit underrated. I think he should start most games for Grimsby. He got 3 and 20 for Shrewsbury last year, which obviously isn't appealing, but that Shrewsbury team were a lost cause going forward. They had George Lloyd and John Marquez up front, and he was sort of playing off them. They had no creativity in the side whatsoever, whereas now he's playing in a really fluid, sort of high-pressing Grimsby side. Artell's really good at getting out of this league, and I think Cook at 33-1 with Flutter is a decent bet, but don't know how many minutes he'll play. He's getting old. He might be rested for certain games, whereas Morgan should get a lot of chances. Grimsby just create chances for fun. Like I said, Cabia got however many goals last season, 18, 20. So they just naturally create chances. And Grimsby are just a very forward-thinking team. They got Jamestown Analytics, data-led recruitment. So they've obviously spotted something in Morgan. A lot of Shrewsbury fans were gutted to not get him back. So there's certainly a player there. And I think 6-1 is definitely worth 1 point each way. And obviously for those brave enough, you could do a little each-way tricksy with the 3 big goal scorer picks.
Ooh, go on then. Yeah, he must have been priced today because Tom Condorf, as soon as they announced the signing, he's been waiting for that price. The exact same points. He's really excited about that acquisition. He's always at Grimsby as well. I think he's got a couple of mates who are Grimsby fans. But I've got a goal scorer pick in this league. It's probably my favourite goal scorer pick that I've touted on this show. Probably my favourite goal scorer outright of the season. Josh Stones at York. 40s everywhere. A point each way on that. Now, last season, Maynard, the gaffer in the National League, it seemed to be at the start of the season Pearce or Stones, one or the other. That's who we were playing. Obviously, you're going to play Pearce because how many goals did he get last 2 seasons? 65 in the league or something ridiculous. But Barnsley, York went to Barnsley in the FA Cup. It will be in, I think it was the first round, and Maynard played both of them up front. Stones scored the opening goal of the game, played off Jack Shepherd and absolutely bullied him. And this isn't like a player who's rose up through the ranks from non-league, Josh Stones, this is. He made his debut. He started breaking into the first team at Guiseley when he was young. Wigan took a big punt on him, signed him for like £250,000. Didn't really work out for him there. York paid a lot of money for him, but he had to bide his time. But then when Maynard realised actually Pearce plays pretty well in behind Stones started playing all the games. I think he went on to score 18 league goals in the sort of last 3 quarters of the National League season. 16 across 28 starts, I think, off the top of my head. Like, he's coming into this season in great form. He got the goal, of course, that clinched them the title in the 13th minute added time on the final day of the season. And League One clubs were sniffing around him at the start of the season. I think Sheffield Wednesday were really interested. So York, fully aware of his potential, have tied him down to a long-term contract. And stylistically, like, he's big. I'm sure they used to call him the Bull at Guiseley. And when you watch him play, it's easy to understand
as
why.
well. Ginger Buffalo.
The Buffalo as well. He definitely suits that name. Like, as I say, he just played off Shepherd at Oakwell and he did bully him for large parts of the game. He'll be so suited to the rough and ready style that is League Two, and he'll more than be happy to compete with the centre backs. He'll be more than happy to scrap with them this season, and I think he'll go pretty well. Again, I think you're only looking at 15, 16 goals for place money based on the last few seasons in League Two, but with them tying him down to a new contract, York are not short of cash either. I think he's one of those who will score a few goals, but will crucially stay at his club or in the division the whole season. So 40-1, probably my favourite pick that I've put forward this show. You've got a handicap in this league as well, haven't you, Tom? A handicap that, may I add, I really like.
Really, yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's Cheltenham, who didn't have the best season last season, but I've really kind of been taken back by the quality of signing that they've managed to attract. They've obviously got a good thing going with Leicester. They've signed 2 players from Leicester, Kirsten Ochere and Jake Evans, 2 youngsters. And you think, they're coming in from a League One club in Leicester, but ultimately Leicester's academy is probably more like a Premier League standard from where they've been, and how these players have been brought up. And they're two players I kind of expected to be playing in League One. Evans was on loan at Northampton last season in a very poor team, so I'm willing to give him another chance here. And Cherry scored plenty for Leicester actually in pre-season. Their fans were really excited about him too. So yeah, they're two good signings, and then they sorted it out in net. They signed Will Stanley, who was at Barrow last season. I thought did quite a good job there. And Charlie McCann also from Barrow, so that there'll be two players that know each other well. So I look at the defence as well, and the likes of Tompkinson, who was at Bradford, is a good player, centre half. James Wilson, Cundy, Pierce Sweeney, and then players like Jordan Shipley, Stevenson, Ryan Broom, McWilliams, just a solid kind of like mid-table League Two squad for me that just needs beefing out a little bit. And it's not a league I particularly rate this season. So I think they could kind of maybe gate crash the top six at a big price. And if they can do that, they'll be in with a good chance on the handicap. So they're 20-1 with a plus 23 start. And I think under Cottrell, they could have a good thing going there. And they've obviously got a little bit more money to play with now, which is another benefit. So yeah, I like Cheltenham there. And just on a side note, the player that Matthew mentioned, Morgan, for Grimsby, I am keen on Grimsby this season. I was last season. Kind of backed them in top 7 promotion already. But if you be a bit clever with this, so James Cabier, who has now left, was around 12-1 to be top scorer. And he was second in the league for XG last season, albeit quite a few missed penalties at the start of the season were kind of beefing up his figures. But if you think that Grimsby are going to carry on creating plenty of chances and get into the final third a lot, I'm guessing that Andy Cook is going to be the main man still. And I know all about Cook, obviously, from his time at Bradford. An absolutely unbelievable striker for that level who just will score goals. Doesn't matter how old he gets, he's brilliant in between the posts. And what you could probably do is kind of like work out your staking system and back both players. And then if Grimsby kind of end up in the top 7 and they're kind of one of the top scorers in the league, you should at least get a place out of one of them and make a little bit of money there. So really, when they've got a player who's just left who was 12-1 and you're getting 33-1 Cook and 66-1 Morgan, I think that's a very clever way in if you can do something there.
Yeah, smart way in. The only bet I've got left is a multi across, one from each division. Prem down, I'll go Forest top half. Same reason as Leeds. They've got they're not in Europe. They've got a new manager, but it's a massive upgrade. Oliver Glasner. This is a squad as well that has all the majority, barring the exception of a few of the players that got them to finish 7th the season before last, drop off last season. But without European football, I think they'll kick on again this campaign. In the Championship, Millwall top 8. Again, like they only finished 1 point off the automatic places last season. The underlying data had them at 8th, overperformed that, but the floor of this team is pretty high, and they were the best side away from home in the division as well. I quite like the business they've done this transfer window. A lot of the players they've lost have either stepped to a club further down the division or dropped down a level. So I think that tells you everything you need to know about the squad refresh. Plymouth top 6 in League One, finished the season like a train last season. It all sort of stems back to when Derek Adams came into the club, made his return, but this time in his senior role, bottom of the league, when he was appointed as a sporting director or head of football. I don't know what they're calling him in mid-November. And And then they went on to take the third most points, score the third most goals, and concede the fourth fewest. I know Talage has gone, Pebble might go, but they've shrewd operators in the market, so I don't think there's a lot to worry about there. Barnet top 7 in the league below. They was hotly touted last season when they came up. Rude awakening when they got to the EFL, lost their opening 3 games. They started quite slow. When they eventually started to figure it out, I think they'd left it a bit too late, but they split their season in half. The first half of the campaign and the second, chalk and cheese. They really gathered momentum in the second half of the campaign. They've lost a couple of good players. Stead, 13 goals last season, scored 5 in 1 game, so that skews his numbers. He took a while to acclimatise, but he's gone up with Cambridge, I believe, and then Glover's gone to Stockport, so there'll be 2 big misses, but I trust Brennan to remould the squad, and they've made some decent signings. And then Scott and Matthews' favourite tip from the National League. Well, I say favourite tip, it's a multi-staple in it, Boreham Wood top 3, and those 5 picks pay out at just short of 80 decimal places on 365, 78.58 to 1. So I'm having a point and a half on that. I think that's everything. Anyone got anything else to mention? Or are we all good?
All good.
All good here.
Perfect. So that's the outright. I'll instead of recapping all the bets, I'll just put the screenshot on the video on YouTube. Video will be available on Spotify as well of the spreadsheet. And will we be back, Matthew, for a show for the start of the season?
Yeah, can be. I'm not doing anything tomorrow, so we can do a show tomorrow if you're about. But
I'm about. Excellent. Well, we'll be back tomorrow with a show for the start of the season. Tom, thank you so much for coming on. Great bets.
Our pleasure, guys.
Matthew, thank you for your time as well.
it's all right, mate.
You didn't say my pleasure.
Pleasure as always.
Pleasure as always. And we'll be back tomorrow. Catch you on the Flippity Flip. Best of luck with all your EFL outright selections.